CityCast Pittsburgh is supported today by the Heinz History Center and their newest exhibition, Pittsburgh's Hidden History. It is a cornucopia of curiosity, a magical menagerie of memory, and a little bit of this and that. There are flowery couches, relics from Kennywood, even a collection of shivs. If you listen to this show a lot, you know we are loving this. It is truly mind-boggling to see how the curators brought together such a wide range of rarely seen artifacts to tell Pittsburgh stories like never before. To buy your tickets and learn more, visit HeinzHistoryCenter.org. CityCast Pittsburgh is sponsored today by Open Streets PGH, organized by Bike Pittsburgh. It's coming at you Sunday, June 29th, where cyclists and pedestrians can travel 3.6 miles, all car-free, through East Liberty, Homewood, Larimer, Point Breeze, and Wilkinsburg. So you can bike, walk, dance, skate, take an exercise class, check out local businesses, build connections, and see the city in a whole new way without the fear of cars. Again, all totally free. See the route at openstreetspgh.org and follow at openstreetspgh. Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, it is opening day for 16 Pittsburgh public pools. That is the most we've had to choose from in the last 6 years. So to celebrate, we're talking to a good friend of the pod about what makes a great one, the best amenities, the most accessibility, the functioning water features, plus how to avoid the crowds and where you'll probably see us the rest of this summer. It's Monday, June 16th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. Jill Turner is a normal human who just really loves Pittsburgh pools. Jill, welcome back to CityCast Pittsburgh.
Thank you. I really appreciate that advocacy for my normalcy.
It's so good. Happy opening day. The pools were officially open. Is this like a high holiday for you, like for your household? Do you celebrate in some way?
I typically celebrate the announcement of the pools opening by just laughing at all the texts I get from friends and now you. I guess I could consider you a friend, a friendly acquaintance.
Thank you. I appreciate
that have heard the news of the opening day and want to make sure that I've heard it as well.
I mean, I do value your opinion on this. Which one are you going to go to first?
Likely Highland Park. It's the closest one to my house. And my partner and I have started a mini tradition of going to the Park Place pub afterwards for dinner.
That's really nice. I mean, there are 16 pools open this year. Kind of feel like I should do like little hooray shouts for that because that's more than we've had open since like before the pandemic, since 2019. And I know there's so many reasons for it, like COVID, the lifeguard shortage, so many repairs. But I guess, is there anything this season that you're just really excited to have back in your life?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think, being relatively spoiled for choice is very exciting. But, even though the Sheridan and Homewood pools won't be opening because they're still, undergoing construction, and several of the pools will have limited days and hours of operation, it'll be nice to know that there are more to pick from when deciding where to visit, especially on like Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays when all of them are open at some point. I'm also looking forward to seeing what improvements they made at Ream Pool, since I really enjoyed that pool, but they were closed for renovations last year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, is there anything new or different that you've seen on anyone's radar? Like the city is always kind of quiet about pool openings until they're actually official. So I look to you as like my beacon for information now.
I wouldn't say that I know of anything like big or splashy, pun intended, that's new this year. But I did find this out yesterday. I don't know if this is actually new in 2025, but I just learned that you can access the Pool Pass application on the City Parks website.
Okay, that feels revolutionary because I've always done it by paper as if it's like 1987.
Okay, well, don't get too excited because this isn't an online application, but you can access the application, print it out, and fill it out at your home.
So it's still on paper.
It's still on paper, but you can take it to the pool pre-filled out so you don't have to stand there awkwardly filling it out while other people are just trying to get in around you.
Honestly, actually, that's good. We should start there. For people who want to get a pool pass, how do you recommend go about doing it? Like if you've never done it before?
I generally, well, first I check and see if I have any people in my neighborhood or friend group that want to go in on a family pass with me.
Hmm.
Because if you do that, the more people you have, it mitigates the cost.
You can do four for like their base price. That would just like be
Hmm.
like, I think it's $15 each. That's what it used to be. Is that still right?
I think that sounds about right. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's,
And then you can add a fifth and a sixth for
yeah,
$10 more per
$10
person.
extra. Hmm.
Yeah.
So that's typically what we do. And then I try, to get as many people as I can to say, okay, I'm going to go pick up the pool passes today. Do you want to come to the pool? So we can all go and celebrate.
And then you don't have to deliver those little metal pool passes
I
for
know.
like weeks after that.
Exactly. Fortunately, most of the people I do this with are in my neighborhood, so they're all walking distance. But either way, it helps if everybody can go together for a number of reasons. Ease of delivery, as well as, the more the merrier for celebrating opening day.
Yeah, yeah. And you don't have to like provide a ton of information. It's like name, address, things
No.
like that. And then give you, like I said, this little metal pass that is always a different color every year, always a different shape. I think my favorite ever was like a purple Michigan. It was like the shape of the state of Michigan.
Whoa.
I know, like, but I love seeing what they're going to be. And I haven't seen one yet. Have you?
I haven't seen one yet either. I think the past three, there was a star, which was fun. And then there was a paw print, which was clearly just like excess rabies tags.
Oh, wait, no, you really? I didn't even
I
think
don't know
about that.
that was my assumption. I don't know if that's the truth, but
All the ones I got that year were blue. I remember the paw print.
yeah, those are the blue. Yeah. And then last year there were the little houses. So I don't know what they'll be this year.
Well, we brought you here because you don't just go to pools like the rest of us. For several years now, you have rated them using this really intense rubric. Walk us through how it's gone in the past.
Yeah. So I created multiple categories like cleanliness, size, accessibility, and rated each pool on a series of criteria within each of those categories. So it kind of started out as a silly and fun way to compare each pool because I am a data minded person. My day job when I'm not at the pools is working in clinical trials. But it really caught on and garnered more interest than I thought it would. I mean, I'm talking to you on this podcast right now. I've written about the pools for City Paper before. Here, I can pull out my official rubric and kind of walk through
Wait,
it.
it's in a Hello Kitty binder. This is even better
Yeah,
than I
it's a
imagined.
it's a black and gold Hello Kitty folder that I found at TJ Maxx. So I think it really goes through it. So there's cleanliness. That'll be cleanliness of the pool itself, the locker room, and just the grass and concrete surrounding it. Infrastructure and upkeep, size, accessibility, general accommodations, and adult considerations. So adult considerations is adult swim and proximity to restaurants and bars. It's nothing that nefarious.
Yes, there's not a single city pool where you can go do anything like nefarious. That's not a thing.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't be anyway. The pool rater, do not condone that.
Yeah. So which pools have consistently been at the top for you?
So Highland Park, just due to the sheer size of it alone, has dominated the rankings.
The pool is enormous. The space around it is enormous. It actually has like a shade tree, which is nice.
Yeah. It has, in addition to just the one large pool, there is an additional smaller kiddie pool and an additional splash area with a functioning mushroom.
Functioning mushroom, not just a mushroom, but one that actually
Yes.
works.
Exactly. It's not just there for decoration. But Greenfield Pool has also consistently been in the top four. But between the years of 2022 and 2023, I adjusted some of the categories after some crowd input and realizing that, initially my initial rating system did actually not include anything for accessibility, which was very important. I added in that category, and then some pools had upgrades in between 2022 and 2023. So it really kind of did make it anyone's game, even though Highland Park came out on top 2 years in a row.
So what's new for you this summer then? How are you changing up the system?
So I figured I'd get a little creative this year. I definitely want to add a few more superlatives, which I know we'll talk about later. But was also thinking maybe coming up with like pools of zodiac signs or something like that. But yeah, we'll see.
That feels so Instagrammable, which by the way, we should say you do a lot of this on Instagram as well.
Yes. Yeah. At Jill Rates Pools.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of taking a more superlative and potentially crowdsourced route to keep things, mixed up and spicy. If the inputs remain relatively the same and a decent rating system will produce similar results, that's how a tool works. This is highly validated.
Jill's holding up her very pretty rubric too. It's also just like nicely designed.
This episode is sponsored by Babbel. Have you ever picked a vacation spot based on where you won't need a phrase book? With Babbel, the language barrier no longer has to hold you back. You can start speaking a new language with confidence thanks to Babbel's conversation-based techniques, which quickly teach you useful words and phrases about the things you actually talk about in the real world. Babbel has more than a dozen languages available for you to learn at your own pace, with material tailored to your individual proficiency level, interests, and time availability. I'm David Plotz, CEO of CityCast, and I've been learning Spanish with Babbel. What I really love about learning Spanish with Babbel is that it works with me where I am. The app and the website keep track of what I've learned. They help me review what I probably forgot from last time, and always is keeping me engaged with a new challenge based on actual conversations I might have in Spain or Mexico or Colombia, especially food conversations because I love food conversations. So get talking with Babbel. I want you to learn another language, so I'm teaming up with Babbel to give you 55% off subscriptions, but only for CityCast listeners at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/CityCast, spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Babbel.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
We will be watching for your superlatives later this summer, but for now, we figured we'd start with a few categories of our own, and we're curious how you have rated them in the past. 2025 is anyone's game. Sounds like Highland Park has some defending to do. So, Jill, what do you think is the best pool to spend a day at? Like, if you are making this the central focus of your precious time off work, where are you going?
I would say the best, pool day, TM, pool for me would have to be Bloomfield, or Bloomfield Beach as the locals call it. It really comes down to two main things, location and crowd size. The location of the pool really couldn't be any better for a city dweller, in my opinion. It's walking distance from Liberty Avenue restaurants, shops, for if you realize you forgot something, or if you just decide the snacks you brought aren't cutting it, and you want to do a little pickup or even DoorDash to the pool, which I've seen people do before. I have not, but I might do that this summer.
I have also not been guilty of it, but I respect it. I think that's just wise. I've mostly seen the transactions happening like across the fence too, which I just find funny to observe.
Yeah, make sure you get something that doesn't need to lie flat like pizza, just in case, or not like soup or anything, just in case someone needs to throw it over the fence.
Yeah.
But crowd size is important too. I think Bloomfield's big enough to support a great cast of characters, from families to single younger folks in the area, but it's not so big that it feels, potentially overrun.
Yeah, no doubt. I guess to that point, just quick aside, like what is in your go bag for a good pool day?
Yeah, well, I know you've asked me this question before, and my number one answer never changes. It's my SPF 70 because I am very pasty. Representing the Irish heritage contingent of Pittsburgh for sure. But other than that, I always make sure to have a large towel, a wide brimmed hat, and flip-flops for wearing in the shower. But I always at least, depending on how long I'm going to be there, I'll always at least bring a Nalgene full of ice water, but sometimes I'll spice it up and bring some seltzer, soda. Again, no alcoholic beverages permitted at the pool.
You might see some on occasion, but you're not supposed to at least be out and open about it. Like, be respectful.
Don't be dumb and ruin it for everyone else. Okay. That's all I'm saying. But I like lighter snacks when it's hot out. Once my friends and I, owing to our previous conversation, we went to Bloomfield Pool during Little Italy days and thought it would be a good idea to get some gnocchi before going to the pool. It wasn't really a great combo in the heat.
Yeah, like gnocchi, meatballs, like those aren't pool foods to me.
Yeah, that's like, very heavy Italian food that you're eating in the sun, and then you want to go in the pool. It was, mistakes were made. We learned from them. But last but certainly not least, especially if I'm going alone, I always bring a good book to read.
Yeah, totally. I have a little bag of toys now that I have like slowly but surely partitioned for my child, just so that he's not a little jerk and like steals toys from other children whose parents packed accordingly. I'm ready this time. To that end, actually, what do you say with like which pool is maybe the most family friendly?
I would say definitely Highland Park. I think I kind of touched on these points earlier, but not only is the main pool huge with a large shallow area in it, there's a splash pad with the functioning mushroom, which is important, and also a separate largest kiddie pool. It's also kind of the only pool where there's consistent access to, even though they're sort of like civilian provided, snacks and snack bars that are outside of the pool area that you can just walk up to and buy instead of having to go to a store.
Yeah, there's usually like an ice cream truck nearby. There can be sandwiches or food trucks, different things. What about the best amenities?
So the pools themselves have all pretty similar amenities when it comes to just what is provided by the city. I
Yeah.
think Highland Park has a vending machine, which is crazy because the other pools do. But
I never thought about that. You're right. Like
yeah,
most of them don't have that.
yeah, they don't have their own snack bars. Even I've noticed, even if they have the physical space, you can tell that there is a place where a snack bar used to be. The only snack bar that I've ever seen open was at Westwood Pool, which is kind of south of the city, or well, it's the southern part of the city. And that was because there was a little league game happening in the adjacent baseball field. So I think it was more open for the little league game than for the pool itself, but it was nice to have it open while we were at the pool.
Yeah, definitely.
So I kind of think that, when I think of amenities is what the surrounding neighborhood has to offer. So Bloomfield, Ormsby Pool in the south side, and Sue Murray Pool in the north side are all walking distance from restaurants, grocery stores, and places to pick things up that make them kind of easier to pack for. So you don't have to worry if you forget something.
Yeah, yeah. What about most accessible?
So last year, Shenley and McGee tied for this superlative, but Shenley especially, it's the only pool I've seen with an ADA shower that actually has like the chair lift to get into the shower. The ramp and ADA parking entrance made it a top pick for that as well. Plus, that is very close to Pitt and CMU, so commuter accessibility, that's with all those bus lines going around there for the universities, really helped in that category too.
Yeah. Now, Jill, I'm imagining you like poking around the shower areas and like, peeking around corners, like just
Only
making
when
sure
there's not people in them.
just making sure you get like the full picture of a space. Which would you say is maybe the best pool or pool day to avoid the crowds? Because I feel like picking a day of the week also makes a difference here.
Yeah, I would say the earlier in the week, probably the better. And, during working hours, I definitely think, one of the benefits of public pools is, that a lot of people can like use them, leverage them as kind of childcare. If you're working from home or you have to work, you send your kid down to the pool, they're going to be safe because they're being watched over by a lifeguard. There's other kids around in the neighborhood. But generally speaking, in the middle of the day, there really aren't that many people there. So avoiding crowds. I'd also say any of the like kind of outer pools that are, on the other sides of tunnels, like Banksville and Westwood tend to be less crowded, at least during the week as well.
Okay. Are there any pools that you think have like significantly improved what they have to offer? Like in the years that you've been doing this, or just casually observing before you had the rubric, ones that you're just like, all right, you've upped the game.
Ream Pool was closed last year due to renovations, and I already really found that pool super charming. So I'm looking forward to seeing what upgrades occurred there. Also, between 2022 and 2023, Moore Pool had a major glow up. It came in dead last in 2022 and made it into like the top 5, I believe, in 2023 due to some upgrades to accessibility. The locker rooms getting kind of a nicer makeover and not being so dirty. So that was great. And one pool I'd really love to see like continue to get some TLC is Sue Murray Pool in the north side.
Yeah, it's so centrally located. It would be like really nice because there's the farmers market there in Allegheny Commons. It's right across from the Elks Lodge. Like there's a lot going on that corner, and it would be like really nice if it like also looked the part,
Yeah.
Do you have any favorites outside the city limits? Like I know primarily you are always focused on city, but like we have county pools, for example, too.
So I really like Dormont Pool. I grew up going to that pool a lot. I love how you can wade in on many of the sides except for in the deep end. But, there's also, a water slide and deep end there as well. I also really like the North Park Pool. It's huge. I think the last time I was there was a few years ago, and they had this inflatable obstacle course, kind of like American Ninja Warrior thing going on, replete with like some of the lifeguards hanging out on it to like challenge you, like the temple guards and Legends of the Hidden Temple.
You're really aging yourself with that one. I love it.
I know. Yeah. I mean, come on. Would a young person create a pool rubric?
No.
Maybe they would. I don't want to get into it.
No, you're bringing a level of scientific research to this that I think is a little unmatched. But do you get down with a wave pool, for example?
I tend to find that wave pools are kind of a polarizing subject. I know some people love them. I personally they kind of freak me out. I had a pretty scary experience at one when I was a kid, and that just kind of never left me whenever I go to the wave pool. So I respect that other people like them, but they're not for me.
Yeah, we've got a couple in our region. I actually haven't been to the South Park one yet. It's on my list for this year. If someone's only going to make it, say, to a pool once or twice this summer, first of all, that is very sad for them. But if that is the case, where would you recommend they go to just like get a slice of kind of Pittsburgh city life in that way?
Well, first, if they aren't limited by just whatever's closest or easiest for them to get to, I'd actually recommend that they go to Riverview Pool. It's such a unique location on the top of a hill in the middle of a large park. So it doesn't actually feel that urban, even though it is one of the city pools. So, of course, just remember to bring your own snacks and pack your bag well because you're being in the middle of the park. But it also means you have a beautiful view. You can see the top of the observatory. And if you're really lucky, it's right by an equestrian trail. So sometimes you can see people riding horses when you're up there.
Yeah, my one note for that one is also I have seen people pack in like those little skinny umbrellas too that you can bring in because that one's lacking a little bit in shade.
Yeah, it is right on top of a hill. So yeah.
Yeah, if you want to get your tan on though, it's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
If someone is listening to this, maybe either new to the area or just thinking like, the pools were not it where I lived before, what would you say? Like, what's your pitch to just like allowing yourself to experience the city asset this summer?
I think there's a stigma against anything that we attach the word public to, especially in a city where, let's admit it, we haven't had the best record of infrastructural wins in the past.
We've rebuilt a lot of bridges lately.
We have. But, when you think public transportation, oh, it's unreliable. Public school, underfunded, public pools full of pee. I don't know. But they're also full of chlorine. So
full of chlorine, and many of them like have had like major upgrades to their purification processes too.
But I think, if people really think about what a public amenity truly means, though, they realize that they can get out of it what they put into it. The more you interact with a public amenity, the more you go to the pools. That like pool passes aren't really that expensive, or just a day pass isn't that expensive either. In fact, kids that are residents of Pittsburgh under 15 can go for free. But continuing to interact with that amenity shows that it's important and can, help people recognize the importance of it and allow it to continue to get glow ups. And isn't it just neat that there are places in our city where we can go to cool down and relax for relatively cheap? It's like, I kind of see it, I don't want to wax too weirdly about it, but it's a manifestation of our humanity to see a public good and participate in it so that it keeps on going and providing for others. But, if you're not really into the kumbaya nature that I'm getting at with my love for public pools, just go to the pool and see for yourself. Especially if you go to Bloomfield for the day. And even if you decide that you still hate it and you think it sucks, you can go get a beer afterwards.
No doubt. But maybe skip the gnocchi.
Yeah, skip the gnocchi for sure.
Jill, as always, thank you so much. I hope no sunburns and only great days at the pool for you this summer.
Thank you. Yeah, I will be lubing myself up with SPF 70, keeping my hat on, and hopefully remembering to bring my little pop-up tent so I don't get sunburned. So
yeah, Jill will be the one under the tent. See ya.
Yeah. Thanks, Megan.
That is all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. And just a thought, if the family pass, the season pass does not appeal to you, you have other options. You can get a day pass. Just try it out for $5 per adult. Like Jill says, children ages 15 and under who live in the city, they can get in for free, as well as disabled veterans, active duty military, and reservist guard members. And if you receive any kind of government assistance, you can get your tags for 50% off. We will have a link to all of this in our show notes, and we will be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. We'll talk to you soon.
The defunct pool in Lawrenceville on Butler Street. I'm not sure how many people are aware that it's there, but it's an abandoned city pool on Butler Street that's behind the Boys and Girls Club. That's kind of across from where the Abbey and the Teamster Temple is.
Yeah, it's right by the cemetery.
Yeah, it's prime real estate. Like, could you imagine taking a nice walk through Allegheny Cemetery or up Butler Street, spending the afternoon at the pool, and then finishing off the day by getting a bite and a drink in Lawrenceville? Like, I certainly have imagined this many times, obviously. And it's also super close to my house, so I'm biased, but that I would love to see if we could ever reopen that pool. That would be amazing.
Pittsburgh actually has an odd history with its abandoned pools. I don't know if they've ever brought one back from the dead, but like there's a lot of zombie pools all over the
There
city.
are. Yeah. I mean, Sheridan Pool has been closed, since pre-pandemic, I think it hasn't opened. And they're still saying it's under construction. And, it could open up as early as next year. So you never know. But I think the Lawrenceville one has been closed for longer.
Yeah. The Manchester one is the first one I thought of too when you said that
Mhm.
too. Because like it looks so sad over there. And like clearly this was once like a huge thriving neighborhood
Yeah.
where a ton of people lived. And I realize it's not that now, but like maybe build it and they will come. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. If you build it, they will come. Or in the case of Lawrenceville, they're already there. So just give them a pool to go to.
They have come.
Yeah. Now let them jump in the pool.